Hello everyone, so today I will show you how to move the face forward using the trigger point therapy, which will speed up your thumb pulling and face pulling results significantly. This took a very long time for me and Cranium Otis to figure out together. We experimented with releasing fascia and we achieved some drastic results and improvements in the last couple of months. Also, I literally never heard anyone really talk about this in this community, at least, which is harmful because sometimes it makes all the other methods from the Lux Maxing community simply ineffective for some of you. So no matter how hard you're trying, if the connective tissue, if fascia and other adhesions are holding your jaws back, face simply can't move forward, and that's what trigger point therapy is for. It basically teaches us how, by releasing specific points in a body, we can influence body biomechanics and a jaw position. So in this video, I will basically show you the exact fascial points that hold the jaws set back in a setback position and how to release them using trigger point therapy. This is, by the way, scientifically proven method for releasing tension in a body. So we're just going to use all those principles to unlock the jaws and make them free to move in their optimal position, because when nothing is holding your face from moving forward, then your face literally has no other reason not to move forward. But before I demonstrate the entire routine, I will share with you firstly some tips that will make this routine way easier and even more effective. First of all, fascia responds really well to heat, so you should do this routine either in sauna or right after taking a hot shower. And another thing that helps with fascial trigger points is magnesium chloride. So just rubbing the cream or gel with magnesium chloride over those areas that I'm gonna share with you, that's gonna be very helpful. It's usually available, by the way, in drugstores, okay, so it's easily accessible and it's kind of cheap. I think this one was maybe $5 or so. Also, for those of you that live near the sea, take advantage of that, because seawater contains magnesium chloride, which is beneficial for not just fascia but your skin, hormones, and just overall health. And then for those of you who don't live near the sea, I recommend taking magnesium chloride orally. This is extremely important for properly hydrating fascia and stopping it from getting tight again. And the best way to hydrate fascia is by drinking spring water, eating watery fruits containing that structured water, or you can just take a pinch of high quality sea salt and put it in your water and just drink that every day, right? All those habits will have extremely positive effect on your tissue, including fascia. So now that you know all that, now you are ready to start the trigger point therapy. So we will start from the feet, because fascia is a chain starting from your feet going all the way up to the jaws, and that's why we can't release points just randomly. And the order of this routine is going to be very intentional and strategic. Firstly, we're going to be working on the deep frontal line, which runs from the arches of your feet, deep core, diaphragm, neck stabilizers, and up to the jaw. So any tightness in this line affects posture, breathing mechanics, and tongue position negatively, okay? That's why structure collapses and it usually results in a poor craniofacial structure. So that was a front line, okay? The second line we're going to address is superficial front line, which if it's tight, then it pulls the jaw downward and backward. And the third thing that we're going to work on are just those local fascial points, which are not necessarily a part of any specific fascial line, but they do interact with them. And in that way, they also influence the bone position, right? Maybe it sounds complicated now, but in practice it really isn't. It's very simple, and what we're going to do essentially is just relax very specific body parts. Fascia will then release its grip on the jaw and jaws will move forward more easily. Another important factor that I feel the need to address now, because it's extremely important for some of you, those are scars or serious injuries or just fillers, okay? Those things also create fascial restrictions that can pull on the surrounding tissue. This will be especially exaggerated for those of you who had any kind of abdominal surgery in which they had to cut through deep frontal line of fascia, then that created adhesions and restrictions around that area. So those adhesions now interfere with your tongue posture and other postural habits, which limit your movement and forward growth. It can also contribute to sagging, wrinkles, jowls, you know. So if you had any like scar, deeper scar or fillers, include those areas in this routine as well, right? So now that you know all of that, now that you know how to prepare for this routine and what to pay attention to, now we're ready for the actual routine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to release all the fascial restrictions in our body one by gently stretching those areas or applying pressure until the tension releases pretty much. And that way we're going to affect the entire line that may be pulling on the jaw. So we will start with a deep front line of fascia, and this line starts at the arches of the feet. Then it goes through inner thigh, pelvic floor, diaphragm, throat, and the jaw. So we're going to address the base or the beginning of the line first, and we're going to start with the feet in order to relax the plantar fascia. The easiest way to do so is by rolling your foot on a tennis ball for 2 minutes per foot. So you should apply pressure on the arch. I do not have a tennis ball right here, but basically what you should do, you should just apply pressure on the arch, under your toes and on your heel. And then you might hear some cracks. Okay, that's completely normal. It's just your sign that you're releasing the fascia. And in case you don't have a tennis ball, I recommend getting one, okay? But just in the meantime, you can massage the arch and release the fascia that way. Just make sure that you're actually applying enough pressure for it to actually affect the fascia. Next point we're gonna be working on is the abdomen. Abdominal muscles are wrapped in a deep front line fascia, which pulls down on your structures. It can make it way harder to keep the tongue up and, you know, maintain good posture, which again, it can and it often does affect the jaw and essentially your entire facial structure negatively. So we need to relax the abdomen area. It's actually very easy. The only thing you need to do is literally lay down, completely relax your core, and then massage it starting from under the sternum, going as low as you can. Okay, so you just push inside and you go all the way down, and then you repeat that on the sides and around the hips, since there's usually a lot of tightness around the hips as well. Just make sure again that the movements that you're doing are very slow. You do not want to do it fast, you know, just to do it. You need to do it slowly, and if you do it correctly, you'll be able to feel the deep relaxation. So don't rush the process. Okay, so now we're ready to move even higher. We'll be working on the area under the chin where hyoid fascia is located. When this area is tight, it obviously influences tongue position, but it also influences jaw mobility, making it almost impossible to practice mewing or for the face to move forward, no matter how much you're doing tongue pulling or face pulling. This was very obvious in my case, and I was not able to get any significant result until I started releasing my fascia. The best way you can release it is by doing gentle upward glides along this line. Okay, it's very simple. Just make sure that you go slowly again and hold for a bit longer once you reach the end of the line. Now we'll continue working on this area, but we're going to be releasing fascia directly under the mandible. So what I want you to do next is basically press the thumb along your ramus and try to go deeper in. Okay, you can also lean your head to that side, you know, to make it easier. Just make sure you apply a decent amount of pressure in this area. It might be painful, but just take that as your sign that that's your trigger point and the area that's holding your face in either a symmetrical position or recessed state. So basically push through that pain. Okay, it will hurt less and less each day. You just need to be consistent with those techniques. Alright, so now that you relax the ramus as well, now you can start working on the rest of the mandible, pressing each point until it releases. Some points may be, you know, more tight So just spend a little bit extra time working on those areas, and again, with time, you know, that tension will release and your jaw will align symmetrically and move forward. But I do want you to know that we do have some kind of limitations here, right? We're not able to reach that deep fascia on the inside by using our fingers. So it would be great, obviously, if we could, but we simply can't. And especially if you had some type of unnatural treatment, you know, such as braces or surgery, then you might need additional support to release that deeper fascia. And what helps with it is a flat mouth guard that adds dental height and that passively stretches out the soft tissue. I tested it out on myself and it works. Okay, it did bring my jaw forward. It also improved my symmetry significantly. So also, I know that for some of you it might be the first time, maybe, you know, hearing about wearing a mouth guard. This is a Revive one, but that's actually not in your practice at all. Mouth guards have been used in other protocols for resolving the facial asymmetry and treating, you know, body asymmetry. So if you want to give it a try, I will link this one, the Revive one, in the description. And for those of you who are maybe hesitant, you know, to use something external to support your journey, and you want to heal completely naturally, and I want to do that as well, right? But most of us, literally, we developed all those fascial restrictions and compensations after having some type of unnatural treatment, you know, such as braces, for example. So to me, it's natural that now we might need some external support when we are reversing the damage. And that doesn't mean that you will have to rely on it forever, right? Because once you restore the function by releasing the tension, then it will become possible for you to keep improving the structure by habits alone. So yeah, you basically restore the function by releasing the tension, and then it will become possible for you to keep on improving the structure by habits alone. Anyways, let's continue with the routine. So now we are finally entering the most important part of this routine, which are intraoral techniques. As I previously mentioned, fascia is not just on the outside, it's wrapped around absolutely everything, connecting all the parts of the body. So it's located in the mouth as well. And we will start this part of the routine by doing palatal sweeps. Okay, so just massaging the upper palate, going from the right side of the palate to the left side. And this direction, right to left, is extremely important because it's the only direction that unwinds the fascia. So you quite literally just press on the right side of the upper palate and you move the thumb towards the left side, and then you just repeat that along the entire palate. This will prepare the intraoral work that now we are, you know, ready for. And these following techniques are the closest we can get to affecting the internal fascia, so pay close attention to this part. We're gonna start by working on the floor of the mouth, and that's the area right under the tongue pretty much. So quite literally just press the tissue under the tongue and go around it, massaging the entire floor of the mouth. It might feel slightly painful, but that's a safe technique, right? It just takes some time to get used to it. Also, don't be surprised if you feel your ears open up or just things similar to that, because as I said many times, everything is connected, and those are your signs that you are actually changing your fascia at that moment. Now, after releasing the fascia under the tongue, now we are ready to go even deeper. So we're gonna relax the retromolar area, which is the area behind the last molars. This area tends to hold a lot of tension. It can limit your jaws, make it really hard to open the mouth, and it's also known to cause TMJ disorders. So if we want to move the jaws forward, we need to release any tension in that area, and we can do that by, again, simply applying pressure with the thumb and gliding the thumb along that area until the tension releases. After that, we are ready for the last step of the trigger point therapy, which is the tongue release. Tongue is connected to every other part of the deep frontal fascial line, and that's why we started releasing it from the feet, and now we're gonna end the routine with stretching the tongue. So grab your tongue with a tissue or a towel and just pull it forward and hold like that for 10 seconds. You might feel also like mewing gets way easier after this technique, especially if you've been struggling with uneven mewing. That will improve significantly. Now that fascia is relaxed, you know, you'll be able to have more symmetrical posture in general. Now that we released the entire fascia line, we're ready for the second part of the routine, which is strengthening the fascia. And again, we will start from the feet because they control the entire chain. Therefore, if we manage to activate plantar fascia, will activate the entire chain. So what I want you to do is take a towel, place it on the floor and scrunch the towel using your toes. Then release and just repeat that for 3 minutes every day. But at the same time, keep the tongue on the roof of the mouth, okay? Because that way we are strengthening the line from both ends, literally rewiring your entire fascia. Strong fascia is extremely important because that will support your body in a good posture instead of, you know, pulling on the misaligned structure when it's just tight locally, you know, or restricted locally. So the key is basically releasing and strengthening the fascia at the same time, because without strengthening the fascia, released tissue can retighten, and then without releasing and strengthening alone can't change the biomechanics and can't free the jaws. So both is necessary at the same time. Now when it comes to how often you should do this routine, you do not have to do it every single day, okay, even though you can, but even doing it for just a couple of times a week while wearing a splint overnight, that will be enough for most of you. You might expect, you know, to feel some immediate improvements in like jaw mobility, for example, after a few weeks, but the biggest improvements when it comes to your facial aesthetics will be in your jawline, you know, and your jaws will pretty much just come forward. As I said in the beginning, if you're struggling with mewing, tongue pulling, face pulling results, I believe this was your missing link and you can expect very, very fast results. You just can't, you know, move the bone that's being fixed in one position by your soft tissue. It was necessary to work with your body to release the restrictions and then try to move the bone. So don't fight against your biology pretty much. And if you need additional help, you know, if you need to use some external tools such as a mouth guard, as I previously said, that's completely normal to me, and you obviously won't have to rely on it forever, right? The goal is to restore the mobility in order to adopt proper habits, healthy habits. And as with everything, your consistency here will be the key, right? So make sure you follow the best protocol. And in case you need any guidance, my community will be linked down below, okay? That's where I personally guide people and where all our protocols are in just one place. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Let me know what you would like me to film next, and I will see you in the next video.